Hey everybody, it's Kaipo Guerrero from the World Surf League. Looking forward to the Rip Curl WSL Finals coming up at Lower Trestles, where we're going to crown both men's and women's champs that day in the water. First of all, Lower Trestles, we look at that wave as a high performance wave. It's going to have a lot to offer, both a right and a left. So both directions on display. We're going to see a forehand surfing, backhand surfing, and you're really going to have to be, well equipped in progressive surfing to take out a title. We look at the women's and the women's the final five for the women. And we have some old veterans in the way of Tyler Wright, number 2 seed, as well as number 1 seed, Carissa Moore, both former world champs, 5 world titles to Carissa Moore's credit and 2 world titles to Tyler Wright's credit. But then what gets exciting is when we look at seed 3 through 5 for the women in that final 5. You have a 17-year-old Katie Simmers coming in. She's a rookie on the Championship Tour. She's coming in at seed number 5. We're going to see her in the first match against Molly Picklum. Picklum, only 20 years old too, so the new blood coming up for the women in the Rip Curl WSL Finals. And then number 3 seed, a 21-year-old, the goofy foot Caroline Marks. So I like the contrast, and I like what we're seeing for our women in that we're going to have the world champs at the top. They're going to be the ones to beat, but we have the young new generation of female professional surfers going to be coming up in that seeds 5 through 3 with Katie, Molly, and Caroline. So that's something I'm looking forward to on the women's side. On the men's side, wow, I really think it's going to come to really our title match. And that's going to be whoever can beat or not beat seed number 2, Griffin Colapinto. Colapinto, his first appearance in the WSL Final 5 is the first time that he has a chance for a world title. He's at his home break at Lower Trestles, so he's going to be one to watch. Meanwhile, the number 1 seed, he also calls Lower Trestles his home break in the way of Felipe Toledo. And Toledo, he's going to be really, really hard to beat. We already see what he does out there at Lowers. He's got another gear. He surfs at a different speed than the rest of the field. So Felipe Toledo, he's going to be the favorite. Griffin Colapinto, he's going to be the biggest challenge, I feel, for Felipe Toledo. We're going to see what the health of Ethan Ewing is going to be as he makes his appearance after an injury in Tahiti. João Chianca, Chumbinho, he could surprise us all for all we know. He surprised us with his performances in the past. He can do the same thing at Lowers. So he's going to be the X factor along with a motivated Jack Robinson, who's coming in number 5 seed, but Jack coming with a lot of momentum after an inspirational win in Tahiti. So we can see if Jack's going to carry on that momentum, that X factor, and get through some of these matches until he meets, Griffin Colapinto in that final match or Felipe Toledo for a world title. There's a lot of scenarios going on. That's what makes it so exciting. It's the world's biggest day in surfing. It's something to check out. It's going to be a wild show. So when we look at the women and the veterans, the 2-time world champ Tyler Wright, the 5-time world champ Carissa Moore, they're going to be the surfers to beat. Number 1 and number 2 seed. They have a lot of experience. They know how to handle the pressure. So we'll see if some of the younger surfers can bring that pressure to Tyler Wright and to Carissa Moore. When we look at the women again, Carissa Moore, I don't think she's going to let it happen again. She let a 6th world title slip through her fingers last year with Steph Gilmore. I don't think Carissa's going to let that happen again. I think Carissa's going to be well prepared, knows what it's like. She's the only surfer out of all the women, Carissa is, who's been at these WSL finals every single year. This is new ground for Tyler Wright with this format. It's new ground for Molly Picklum. It's new ground for Caroline Marks. It's new ground for Katie Simmers. Carissa Moore has been here. She's done that. She should be the best prepared, and preparation usually equals success. When we look at Caroline Marks, both on the men's and the women's side, she's the only goofy footer in the final 5. That will give Caroline a little bit of point of difference to the rest of the surfers. Caroline on her backhand, we already know what she can do. She won El Salvador with her sharp backhand surfing. That's one of her tools. That's one thing that she can go back to over and over again to get big points. She's going to look different from the other surfers, being on her backhand on the rights. I think that's a plus for Caroline Marks. On the left, Caroline has to use a little bit of progression. We've seen limited airs done by the women. We know Caroline can do airs. We know Katie Simmers can do airs. Will they turn it up? Will they bring that to the game at lower trestles? We're going to wait and see what happens with there. But I think Caroline on the backhand is actually a good thing because she'll look different from all the other surfers. For men, we take a look at Felipe Toledo. Everyone talks about Felipe Toledo and what he can do at trestles. What a lot of people have to pay attention to is Joao Chianca. And what Joao is able to bring, Chumbinho, is that surprise factor, that X factor in his surfing. He's a motivated surfer. He's a passionate surfer. He fell off tour. He came back on tour. He was wearing the yellow leader jersey. He's won events now. He knows what it's like to win. He's had a taste of that victory. Can he go for a world title? Sure. If things work out, it's really going to be whose day is it when it's surfing's biggest day at that Rip Curl WSL Finals. We'll see. That's why it's so excited and so interesting to watch this and to watch how it plays out and to see who will rise to the occasion. Because again, all of it happens just in one day at lower trestles. You got to be on that day. You know, when we look at Griffin Colapinto, we've seen the story before where sometimes it's hard to win at home. Sometimes it's hard to win at home because you have a lot of expectations. You have all these people, you have your friends, your family, everyone's going to be there rooting for you. That's going to be Griffin Colapinto. That's what he's going to have to go through. He's going to have that support, but also that support can be pressure sometimes. So can Griffin handle that pressure on surfing's biggest day? That's going to be the question that needs to be answered. And that's where we're going to see if Griffin Colapinto can step up and deal with that pressure, turn that pressure and that support into fuel, turn that pressure and support into an extra gear for him, because he's going to need an extra gear going up against Felipe Toledo if he makes it to those title matches. So Colapinto is going to have to utilize earlier this year, and actually through the whole season and last year too, Griffin has been utilizing time to contemplate before his heats and meditation happening where he stills himself. He takes himself away and he meditates and he visualizes the result. He's going to have to use those tools, those meditation tools, to calm himself and to take away the pressure that for sure is going to be on his shoulders. We'll see how Griffin Colapinto steps up when it becomes surfing's biggest day. That's the Rip Curl WSL Finals. Predictions are really hard to come by, but I'm going to go with, we're going to see a surprise on the women's side. I feel some of the young blood coming up is going to make some surprises. And then when we look at the men, I can't get past Felipe Toledo. I can't get past the fact that he's going to be the man to beat. He's going to have that title matches. That's a 2 out of 3 surf. So he's definitely got the advantage when it comes to that finals day. So that's my pick for the men. I think Felipe Toledo is an obvious but a meaningful pick for a second world title. All right, well, thank you guys for checking in and look forward to it. Remember, September 8th through the 16th, the waiting period for surfing's biggest day. That's the Rip Curl WSL Finals. We'll see you at lower trestles.